Welcome back, everyone. So what we're going to be doing in this one is talking about how to go from becoming a consumer to creator. So we're going to get out of tutorial hell, essentially. If you know about that and you're a developer, that is what we're going to be tackling. We're going to actually produce stuff and get out of this cycle of watching video and actually start creating something. So that's what we're going to do and discuss in these slides. So sit back, relax, get some coffee and enjoy the presentation. Okay, so the core idea, right, is that you want to stop scrolling and start building. So there's enough people that consume stuff in the world, right? And what we want to strive for is being creative and building stuff, right? You were meant to build. You're not just meant to browse and scroll and do all that. So this is what we're going to tackle in these sets of slides. Okay, so input without output equals mental obesity. Let me say that again. Input without output equals mental obesity. So physical obesity is when the calories in is greater than the calories out, right? Or calories burned. Now, mental obesity, which is something I came up with myself, is that content in is greater than content created. That will lead to mental obesity. So consuming endlessly feels productive, but it actually drains you and creates no value. So we need to switch to this. We need to switch to more content created to reduce the mental obesity and just win. It'll help us win. Okay, so the takeaways here that we're going to discuss in this lecture is that input without output equals mental obesity. So we just covered that. Number 2, you learn more from creating one small thing than by watching 10 tutorial videos. Then what we're going to do here in the last part is talk about getting off the platforms and instead build. Just build something, right? This is very near and dear to my heart. So, the learning illusion. Watching tutorials feels like you're learning, right? You may be learning, but it also feels like you're learning. But you keep watching them and you keep watching them and you feel like, hey, I'm learning more and more and more. But usually you get to a point and then it's zero retention. If you don't have a goal in mind to know what you want to learn and you sort of go sidetracked a little bit, you just sort of drift and then you don't end up getting what you wanted. You don't gain any real skills and it's passive consumption, right? And you haven't produced anything. You've just sort of took in information, right? But building projects, it feels hard. That's okay. Things are meant to be hard if you want to grow. But it does force you to do real learning. You have a gap in your knowledge and you are motivated to fill the gap. So you go watch a video or whatever, but you have the idea of learning in mind by building something. It creates an actual skill, right? And then it uses this active creation. So it gets you out of the consumption and then it gets you in creation, right? And that's where you really want to be. And then at the end of it, you actually have produced something that you can ship and deploy, which we talked about in the last set of lectures. Okay, next. So one project is much better than 10 tutorials, right? So after having watched 10 tutorials, it feels like you've invested 20 hours, for example, or maybe more, just scrolling and watching tutorials. But honestly, you probably won't remember most of it. You won't remember. There's a lot going on in 20 hours of tutorials. But you can't build it yet. You actually haven't built anything and you're just stuck in the loop of learning. You're just stuck in learning mode. But by doing one project, let's say you invest the same amount of time, 20 hours. I would even say like 5 hours, to get even like less than that, just an hour to get huge benefits, right? You're forced to solve real world problems. And then by forcing yourself to do this, right, you gain skills, which will allow you to build similar things in the world. So this is the actual learning, right? The learning comes from this. And what you've done is you've shifted from a consumer to creator, right? So there's the 80-20 rule. So it's not the Pareto principle, but the 80-20 rule, right? That we're going to say this is the 80-20 rule. So if you're consuming, the current ratio of consumption versus creating may be 80 consuming, 20 creating, right? But it may even be 95 consuming, 5% creating. But we want to flip it. We actually want to be consuming only 20%, which is, watching videos, learning stuff, reading books, right? And then we want to spend most of our time, 80% of the time, creating. Because growth happens when we are creating. That 80% of creating, right? So the consumer mindset, right? Let's talk about that. What are some possible phrases a consumer would say to themselves? And I've listed some here, right? So let me watch one more tutorial. I need to learn more first. That's a horrible one. That's a horrible one. I'm not ready to build yet, so that's fear. And I'll start after this course. You do a whole course, then you're going to start. That's quite a lot. That's quite a lot. So the key takeaway is just start, right? So you can always be preparing, but never creating. This one hits hard. The comfort zone always equals tutorial zone, right? It's comfortable being in the tutorial because you're not thinking, you're just being told what the information is. So that's hard. You actually just need to step outside, think, and create. And that's uncomfortable, but you can do it. Okay. So the creative mindset is, I'll figure it out as I build. I love that. I'll Google what I need to know, right? So as you go, you Google, you chat GPT what you need to do. I'm learning by doing. My project is my teacher, right? So you're on the fly, you're doing it, you're creating stuff, right? Building forces learning, and the discomfort zone is the growth zone. That's very powerful. Take a screenshot of that one. Discomfort, right, equals growth. Okay, so exercise. Delete one platform, right? Delete one platform. TikTok, Instagram, whatever you want. Or set a daily limit. And then I want you to use that time, right, to build something. So make a CLI tool, make a simple web app, an API endpoint, right? Something you probably don't even know how to do. So just get started, and then as you go, just Google what you don't know. Keep going, and then by the end of it, you'll have something, but you would have also learned something. You would have learned by building. Okay, so I hope you got value from this one, and I will see you in the next one.